understand the people who are around us, and we just have to be accepting of that, right? So anyone can get along with anyone, because sometimes, yeah, I'll have people ask me, hey, like what's my ideal type when they're in a relationship, and I'm just like, well, wait, are you asking me to tell you like, yeah, you shouldn't be with this person? I'm not going to say that,
Mhm.
right? Unless you tell me, oh yeah, this person fucking annoys me, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to tell you maybe you don't want to be with them, because the things that you're saying, that's who they are, right? So you don't try to change that. Oftentimes the things that they are, we're attracted to that at first, and for some reason once we get in a relationship, we try to change that for some reason. So yeah, I think in general, I'd love to get like a lot of people and then start seeing like the bouncing back and forth between different types and what people will say they're attracted to. But there is a theory that says like you're better with this, but tends to be not often the case. So
Where do you fundamentally believe personality comes from?
that I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess it would be a lot of people are like, oh, you're born a certain way. And then, I mean, it's the nurture versus nature argument, right? And
Right.
I guess it's like sometimes thinking like, how was the world created? I don't really know. None of us were there. I guess like theories can kind of tell us, but I think sometimes it's more important. Personality is more important in terms of how we live our life versus how we got there in the first
Mm.
place. I think it's more important just to like know so that we can live better lives. I do know that depending on certain kids, I've seen personality traits really early, like 3 or 4, and then some kids it takes a little longer, but it doesn't mean it wasn't there. I think sometimes it's
Yeah.
just confidence, expressing it. Certain personality types are a little harder to read at first. Where I'm assuming like your youngest son, if you're a shark, sharks are pretty easy to read early on, where like you just see them running around and like throwing stuff. And I want to say being mean, but sometimes they're the mean kid, especially when they have siblings. I don't know if your youngest son beats up your oldest son, but that sometimes happens where you get like,
Yeah.
you know, like that. And we're like, wow, like, aren't you the younger one? But they're just so much more aggressive that you're like, okay, like they're a killer. Like, I got to put them on some athletic field.
Yeah. We just started them in jujitsu,
Oh,
and
for real? Oh, that's
my
perfect.
younger, he can pull out my elder's petty like no one else can. He
Mm.
just knows how to mess with him, and they're both tall kids. My husband's 6'3", I'm 5'6", and they've just grown. They're just like string beans, just so tall so quickly, and just all limbs. And my younger can go up to my elder, who's like a full head taller than him, and like arms on his hips, head up, looking up at him, and will say, "I'm taller than you." And then my elder would be like, "No, you're not." Like, "Yeah, I'm taller than you." He's like, "No, you're not." And we're just like, it just builds, and he gets, I don't know what it is about my younger, he just knows where to hit and how to, and he toes the line. Mostly crosses over it often because he's still learning boundaries and such, but he can really just pull that out of a lot of people. And one, I think that that's a good quality to harness, and two, as a mental health professional, I'm like, like we could go one of two ways. Oh, and the other part that I really loved about the quiz was the deviant
The deviant
side,
roles, yeah.
which I found so interesting. And I really loved reading about it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
yeah,
so I was just say it's good because like, so often people focus on like the positive things and the stuff, the personality stuff, but it's like the only problem is you say positive things, people are automatically going to say, "Yeah, of course. Yes, that totally fits me." All these positive things you're saying, yes. And it's really easy to mistype. But I think when we focus on negative things, people aren't going to readily accept something unless it's true.
yeah, I accepted it immediately. It was
Oh, you're a
very
deviant
spot on.
role? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And so I went to school for forensics. My master's is in forensic psychology, and I was just endlessly intrigued by it. And so my very first day of grad school, my professor came out and said, "You all need to know that you are deviant. The fact that you want to spend your time in prisons working with some of like the most severe offenders, really looking into psychopathology and these types of things, you have to recognize that you are a good amount deviant. Yours was just harnessed and or naturally toward this side, but it
Hmm.
just as easily could have gone the other way." And so there really is that. Like I'm aware of this like more twisted kind of mental work that I'm capable of. And that deviant archetype, I was like, that's kind of a compliment. I'm kind of really into it because of what, and I'll share it, of course, with you later. It was very interesting. And I like, yeah, I actually aligned with it.
That's how you know that fits you, is when I've had students take it where I think their deviant role they got was the fascist. And I had a student read the description, and the description is written in a way like it's kind of meant to be funny and just kind of like satirical. And one of the lines is like, yeah, like you don't really listen to most people, and people should follow your directions because most people are idiots and you are not, or something. So I forgot what I wrote, but and she's like, that's exactly right. Most people are idiots and they should listen to me. And I'm like, well, there you go. It's perfect. You are a fascist. It's okay. At least you embrace it. I think that's what Nietzsche said,
Yeah.
right? Like we all have the it, I think he called it, which I think Freud turned it into the id. I think id is it in German, but that we have that beast inside us, and it's all about like kind of transferring that and using that for the good versus using that for the bad.
Yeah, I think any of us could have just as easily gone the other way.
Yeah.
And so I want to backtrack a little bit because we did talk about where personality comes from. And I fundamentally work in the business of helping people modify and evolve and change over time based on, where they recognize the need. So, so much of it seems like your ethos is about, and maybe I'm leading with assumption here. And so I would want you to correct me that it's rooted in a level of this is who you are and it's no one's job to change that. And while I agree with that it has to come intrinsically from within, how do you differentiate between your personality being more of a, static set thing versus something that's a bit more dynamic and flexible?
That's a great question, because a lot of people ask me, oh, can we change our personality? Because I think that idea of change is intriguing for people, but I always say we don't change as much as we grow. So I guess that's kind of a little bit of a cheat, but I always say puppies don't grow into cats. Puppies grow into dogs. But a puppy is not a dog. I mean, they're two different things, and yet they're the same thing, right? Just more evolved. And it's cool that it falls back on the questions when we're talking about deviant roles. Like, I do believe that we can grow, and it's important to know who we are, right? Because that helps us grow into the best version of ourselves. Because as deviant roles can prove, we can also grow into the worst version of ourselves. And that often comes when we have problems of like figuring out who we are and like really twisting our identity based on outside pressure. So at the end of the day, I think it's important to know who you are, but also know you can become a better person and a better version of that. But it's also important that you don't try to become a better version of someone else's personality. And I think that's so common. I saw that with so many students where people are telling me, this is what you should be, this is what you should do. I had a student the other day, which was really nice. She was like, oh, I don't want to grow up. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I totally understand what you mean. And we all have to grow up. But the cool thing is you don't have to grow up the way you think you do. Because I'm sure your, parents or maybe your grandparents or whatever are telling you, you need to be this. And when she just is like, no, that's not what I want to be. And so thus, I don't want to even like try to get older. And it's like, well, no, you can go this way,
Yeah, just craving the independence. And those school years, like those first 12 years of school, they're dog years, right?
Yeah.
Like back to your puppy reference, like they really do feel like they last an eternity.
Oh, yeah.
And then now I'm 20, my 20-year high school reunion is next year, and it's just, where did that go?
Are you going to go there? Are you going there with vendettas? Do you have like a list of people where you're like, okay, I want to see if do they get fat and, old looking, and like, do you have anything like that?
No, actually, I don't think so. Not that I can think of, actually. For the most part, because those last 2 years were a kind of fresh start, new start, I
Hmm.
looking forward to it. I hope that, I think based on my upbringing and based on like how just erratic I was and running away from myself so much, I I wonder if anyone has that for me.
Oh, well, so you're saying maybe I was the bully. Is that what you're?
No, not a bully. No, like I was voted, my superlative was best listener.
Oh, okay.
Unsurprisingly, I became, went down a therapy track.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't it, but I don't know. I recently reconnected with a friend from high school who had said like, "Oh, do you remember when you did this?" I was just like, "No,
Was it
not at
something bad or
all.
was it something good where you're like, oh,
Wasn't
no, I don't.
great.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Wasn't
Oh,
great."
okay.
And so I was just like, "Oh shit. What did I block out? What do I not remember? What was I just like so busy moving on to the next thing?" that I didn't even recognize I did. So maybe they'll have their vendettas, and I would love to hear them and make peace. I I don't want ever to be that person who is unaware of harm that I've caused.
Oh
And so
yeah.
I hope they come to me with, well, if they have one, I hope they bring it to me, but I'm not really hoping that they have one
I mean, that's
with me at
exciting
all.
to do a 20-year. I mean, I didn't even have a 20-year high school reunion, so I'm kind of sad about that. Where I'm like, wow, really? Like, I actually kind of would have wanted to go there, you know? Like, but no, I've never
Yeah.
had a high school reunion, so
None of them?
no. I guess my high school was just like, no, we're not doing it. Or I guess I don't even
Okay.
know who runs those things, the alumni or I don't know, the
I
student
think
body
people
presidents.
just volunteer.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't have
Yeah. So
any.
I think if like no one really is, maybe everyone's waiting